Hey guys, it's Average, welcome back to the channel, and today we're taking a look at Local Legends 17. Of course, we just had the release of the Northeast update for the US. This is the Curtiss Commando, the C-46 Local Legends 17. Now the Commando, of course, is a low-wing twin-engine aircraft built from the CW-20, which was the high-pressure, high-altitude airliner designed by Curtiss. And the early reports for the name were the Condor 3, but the Commando was used in 42 in company publicity, with the war starting for the Americans. It was primarily a cargo aircraft during the war, and it had fall-down seating for military transport. Now, of course, they did do some paratrooping, mainly Army Air Forces, served the Navy and the Marine Corps as the R5C, and it did a similar role as the C-47. 3,200 of these were built, so much less compared to the 10,200 of the C-47. Now, of course, it first flew in 1940, March 26th, and it was introduced in 41. It's still active in some limited civilian capabilities, mostly in places like Alaska and northern Canada. And, of course, it was only produced up until 1945. They tried to bring it into civilian purposes after the war, but it only saw really cargo use because the DC-3 and the C-47 just took the lion's share of civilian aviation in that period. So, what are its specifications for the A model? Now, we're looking at a Pratt & Whitney R2800 double wasp engines, which are 2,000 horsepower apiece. Those, by the way, if you're familiar, power the Convair CV240s. We'll go exterior here and take a look around. The A-26 Invader, the DC-6, the Hellcat, the B-26 Marauder, the Thunderbolt, and the F-4 Corsair. So very, very, very good engine. Arguably a better engine than the DC-3. A much bigger engine, in fact. Now, of course, she was capable of about 150 knots cruise, max speed of about 230 knots at 15,000 feet, range of 3,100 miles, so about 2,700 nautical miles, and that's at about 150 knots. So, good cruise, yeah, you're looking at managing about 2,000 nautical miles on full tanks. That's pretty good. And if you were to go faster, flying at 200 knots, you could probably eke out about 870 nautical miles or so. Service ceiling of 24,000 feet. Time to 10,000 feet of 17 minutes. So really not terrible. If we compare it to the C-47 Skytrain and look at the specs for her max speed was 195. She cruised at under that, I believe, in the region of 145-ish, 130, 150. Ferry range on that was about similar, slightly longer. Service ceiling was 2,000 feet higher. And time to altitude was half, 9 minutes. And that was powered by the 1830 engine, the Twin Wasp, putting out 1,200 horsepower. So, not a terrible model. This is Aeroplane Heaven, of course, that produced this for us. There's a couple of liveries. We have Navy, Japanese Self-Defense Force, blue one, and this Army one. Of course, there's no actual markings on any of these because, you know, the sim would hate military things. But for some reason keeps producing military-style aircraft. Go figure. Pop us back inside really quick because I'm going to click some buttons for you here. We'll hit secure the aircraft. And if you look around, open this door, you can see the cargo bay. And we'll click open the cargo door. And we can click the cockpit door here and open this. So if you go outside, you'll notice we have this huge cargo door, very useful. A Jeep appears for us, which, weirdly enough, has markings on it. Go figure. This has markings. The plane cannot have markings. This has markings. The plane does not have markings. Go figure. Okay. So in here we have cargo, we have a Jeep, we have all this stuff. Decent sized cargo area, actually. In fact, in the original civilian model, of course, the spar for the wing goes to this bottom section of the aeroplane, this narrower section here. Look at the front profile. And technically, this is also cargo space in the civilian version, this under deck area here. Obviously not in the military one, but this under area here was cargo. Obviously leaving the passenger area uninterrupted. And no spar to walk over and across in the crew area. Now as you see there, we've got chocks, we've got some extinguishers. We have the crew access ladder at the front. Which is nice and a very static figure here. But it's nice to see, although his Ambient occlusions are a little bit hectic there, where they've pulled off the life jacket off it on him and not retextured the shirt. Also, very shiny tyres. This is an Aeroplane Heaven thing they do. The tyres are always really shiny. Someone has oiled down these tyres. Super shiny. Decent detail of the engine. Let's take a look inside, shall we? So, interior, of course, we've seen the back area. I'll close these off as well. We have the radio compartment or radio operators area here. Nothing's really clickable. Co-pilot, who is quite annoying. But we can remove him by clicking remove co-pilot. A couple of windows here. No note difference to the engine, by the way. But the world gets a little bit louder when you open them. But not the engine. So this can be moved, but it's not exactly practical to open it this far, because I'd like to open it more, but the real one only opens about this far, and it's just in the way, which is annoying. So down here we have our landing gear, we have our parking brake, we have cable release, which doesn't do anything, superchargers, flap lever, tail wheel lock, engine guards, cross feeds, etc. Here's a little fun one for you, the fuel selector. Now, it says off here. This is both sides, left and right engine. Off, front, centre, and aft. And for military purposes, 3 dots aft, 2 dots centre, 1 forward, none off. Lets you work out which tank you're on in the dark. Surprisingly useful. We need to be on centre for start. Okay, so to turn off the yoke, we can hit... That's not that one. It's this one. Same here for that one. If we want to turn those off. I'll leave this off for now. It's our oxygen flow control. So I'm going to start with our checklist. So before starting engines, we need to make sure parking brake is on. It is. Superchargers to low blower, which they are currently in low blower up here. We can make sure we verify these by going to cold dark settings, which resets everything for us. Flaps are up. Tail wheel is not locked. It is going to be locked now. Flight controls are free and clear. They are. Feather switches are set to normal. They are indeed. Those are here. They're in normal. Aileron tabs are neutral, rudder tabs neutral, elevator tabs neutral. They all are. That's this part here. Full rich on the mixture. Full fine on the props. Crack open our throttle. It's there. Then we'll go to our cowl flaps to open. Cowl flaps are set here. They're not the cowl flaps, sorry, I do apologise. The cowl flaps are here. Fully open on those. Now the pilot's windowsill. The fuel tanks are of course to centre, as we want them to. The gyro pilot and radios are all off. Or technically they will be. So the battery on. Pitot heat switches are off already. Light switches, MTIs are off. So we'll go to our before start. Battery to on, ignitions to on. Battery is up here. Ignition to on. Make sure our mags are set to both. That is set. Generator to on. That is these down here. They are on. Okay. Fuel gauges. We have got fuel quantity. Those are down there. Fuel pumps to on. They are set. So the start procedure is not very authentic, but it's the right methods. It just doesn't take as long. I look forward to a Duckworth mod for this because it'll be great. So, start. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's no engine turning like it's actually cycling through. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Prime. And it seems to start on its own. Okay, the engine's looking good. And we'll do this one. As soon as I get to a position where I can do it, because it's annoying to reach sometimes. 1 and 2. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. Prime on. Give her a bit of throttle as well. Looking good, I think. Engines are problematically behind the prop levers there. That is where our mags are. This is the most unfortunate part of this. This is where your manifold pressure is and your RPM. Nicely hidden by our instruments, so you'd have to be moving your head around, which even if I do that, yeah, it's just an awkward spot to have the prop levers right in front of that. So go figure. Okay, so once that's checked, we get our pumps off. Keep the engines up there. We'll go to high blower. Or not. It did not like that in the slightest. And I just stalled both the engines. That is unfortunate. Don't do that. A mesh. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. Oh, wrong way around. That way around. 1 and 2. This should take a lot longer to start them, and there should be some intermittence, but it does appear to just do it. And now I appear to have glitched the aircraft out. But the engines are started, but not started. As you see here, we've managed to sound glitch it, which is quite interesting. So we're back, and we have everything started this time. So we're going to start getting ourselves taxied out of here once I remember if I had the parking brake on or not. There we go. She needs a very large amount of power to taxi. Let's get her turned around here. View on the ground is not fantastic, but it is a little better than DC-3, and you've got these side low windows, which is quite nice. Let's turn Dave off there. We don't want Dave. Again, I wish I had the option there. This is one of those planes that would hugely benefit from options. Like if it was sold not through as a local legend, but, you know, we could use our own co-pilot model and have them in the cockpit with us, and I could have Captain Whiskers there. I'd have that on. But with only the World War II one, not so much, because it doesn't just period lock it, it locks it to military applications only as well, really. Alright, let's get this, and we'll change the time over because it's a little bit late in the day here. There we go. We'll go to 1-notch flaps for us. Now, another weird thing is, of course, the DC-3 had two options for its... a lot of their aircraft have the option for modern, which usually involves just giving you a GPS, and retro avionics. The DC-3, which was free, by the way, did have that. We had two versions, modern and classic, with Sperry and with an actual modern autopilot. There's the tail up. And we're coming up to speed here, and we'll ease away, and she lifts up nicely. Very easily. But yes, this one has no other option. You've only got retro, Sperry only, and even though it's, again, they're showing you the military version, which you'd think is therefore going for a period look, they have included a transponder, which it wouldn't have had. So there's a weird one for you. Let's pull those up as well. Tail wheel comes up too, so a little cleaner than DC-3. But yeah, weirdly enough, you have the transponder there, which is not period correct. That's a 70s model, I think, or a 60s model. So not entirely accurate. Set our power where we want it to be. So a little unusual, to be honest, if I'm really telling the truth there. Not sure why that's a thing. There's our oxygen valve if we want it on. Blinker is functioning. Also, for something so 40s and modern, it's got a very worn yoke there, and the pedals are very worn. Lots of scratching and weathering, which is nice for an older model that's a retro aircraft that's still operating. But for something that's fairly new at the time, it wouldn't have been this worn. I mean, let's think about it. Most of these things either did their job and then were shot down, or look at, You see weather-worn B-17 cockpits in Sims. They didn't get enough use to get weather-worn in many cases. So her flight handling is big and heavy and lumbering. It is not a particularly light or dancing aircraft. She's a big girl, and she acts like it. Big and heavy. But also surprisingly nimble. We'll bring around here. That big tail really helps with maneuverability. Again, we open this in flight. There is a tiny change. Maybe I'm imagining it, but there's a tiny change in engine note. Only tiny. Not a lot. It's like the actual note of the engine you're hearing is so hidden behind this kind of perpetual drone from within the aircraft. Let's bring around here. A little back too much bank there. So it would have been nice to have the option to have a modern GPS and a modern autopilot there. And you could pretend it's Buffalo and any other operator, Everett's, and operating one of these in the remote parts of the world. I'd love to do that personally. I'd absolutely love that. And this aircraft would be a majorly favourite of mine. If we got something like a Duckworth mod for this, coupled with a modern GPS option, modern autopilot option, this would have been an absolute favourite of mine. As it stands, it's okay. There's definitely bugs with the engine systems. They're behaving weirdly, but when Aeroplane Heaven thinks not sometimes. That does tend to be a trend we've seen with some of their aircraft having weirdnesses with the start procedures. The C-47 had that too. There's some glitches around the effects. There's definitely glitches around... I don't like the shiny tyres. I don't like the prop discs. Interior and otherwise textures are fine. Interior extra textures, modelling, decent, good, fine, so suitable. I'm paying £8 for this. The standard price, if you have no discounts with other versions of the sim, is £12. It's not going to break the bank, which is fantastic, but you're definitely getting the price you're paying, unfortunately. Which is sad, because I would have paid more money for this. I would have absolutely paid more money for a good Commando that was finished. Even to the extent of their own release aircraft, I would absolutely pay that price. Because, frankly, the other aircraft they've released, what you get for that price is definitely worth it. So, the lower price and the lower features and more bugs is a problem, because I don't know if we'll see updates to it. And whilst I think it is a fantastically well-made aircraft, there's bits where they could have improved. Yes, it's for Microsoft. Chances are there was most likely a deadline. There was most likely we need it by now, so certain things didn't get added, or they didn't want to have other options. It's weird how there's no military icons on the liveries, but on the vehicles there is. Honestly, I'd say it was all rushed for a deadline and Microsoft made it happen, but it's not the first time we've seen bugs with this developer. So I'm just going to say, especially with the tyres and the prop discs, it's just standard fare there. Standard viewpoint, though, isn't problematic at all. There's some cool features and functionalities. Things do work. I think maybe some mods will make this better. I hope we get some mods from the community to make this better, because I think it could be an absolute classic. I would love to fly it if we had some of those things. Can I navigate without using the GPS or using the Sperry? Sure, absolutely. Do I want to for using one in modern times? No. Let's turn around here and make our approach to the runway. Okay, there's the airport. Bring that gear down. Okay, 2 notches flaps. We're wanting to come approach 109. We're going to go for a 3-point landing with this one this time. Tail wheel can do, or tail up we can do, but it's also going to be faster and use more runway as always. So we're not going to go for that. So I'm going to descending turn here. Trying to keep us 120 for now until we straighten out. Keep a little bit of bank here. Straighten her up head for that sandbar, which will get us on heading in a second when we turn in. We're at about 100, so we need to pick some speed up here. Power on. We'll keep on heading for the sandbar. And then we can roll on course. Very slow, power. Full fine on the props. Full rich on the mixture. We're very slow now. Come on, more power. Power beat drag, please. This is full flaps, by the way, so she's absolutely not wanting to apply power. Let's drop this nose here. Hopefully that will buy us some speed. It is. We're slowly accelerating. But it also should be stalling. We've been at 90, but we've been at 80 technically. This should have stalled already. She's feeling a little bit floatier than she should. That's a treat. Power on. To rotate. And we touch down on all three at once. Bit of power there, can just pull the nose up, which is what I needed to do. And this is how much flap we had out. Yeah, that's why she wasn't picking up speed. Those are huge barn doors. But it worked, so who's going to complain, right? Let's pull her off the runway here. I think it's got potential. It will need mods or updates to really be a keeper. I like it, but it needs more. There we go. Whoa, too much turn. It's the downside when using asymmetric thrust to turn an aircraft. It tends to get a little bit bitey. The engines have behaved themselves so far, though. We'll probably see an issue at lower RPM. If I can see where I'm going here on the taxiway. So what do we think? Again, it needs updates or it needs mods to correct the problems that she has. There's some graphical ones which are minor in the grand scheme of things. The performance, if we saw something like Duckworth or the realism mod for the 47, yeah, I think that could make a big difference. I like the fact we can hide the co-pilot now. I don't think that's available in the C-47, which disappointed me a great deal. Let's take out an oil tank there. Livery is not a big deal, not the end of the world, but definitely the problem there being the instrumentation. Obviously, yeah, it's period. It would be nice to have it as period, but I'd love to fly one in a modern setting. In some cases like Alaska, there are the radio navigation beacons available to use to really use this in a period fashion. They're out there. You need GPS to find some of these places. There is no other way, and the terrain is often not good enough to navigate by. So it becomes a modern necessity in many cases. And with it just having the Sperry option, it's not exactly going to work well for that. So, either way, for the price, definitely worth a crack, and I hopefully think mods will fix it, especially these prop discs and those shiny ass tyres. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!